Ladies and gentlemen, first, thank you for taking your time to join our conference today. And it's a delight to have all of you with us. And it's a very special occasion for us because today we have the management of KOTA companies, KOTA Construction and KOTA Energy Group being with us. Let me Joe, could you please make Kevin a co-host for us as well? Yeah, just raise hand. Yeah, to make sure that all the management of KOTA have full access to all the functions of the conference call. Again, it's a delight to have all of you with us. Some of you are from other countries as well, so your time zone may be different, but that's why we consider very special that all of you are here, and we want to take this time to thank you for being with us. And please bear with me 1 second here. So we want to take this opportunity to introduce to you the management team of KOTA. We have Koda Armand, the CEO, Kevin, the president, and Michael Cozy, the CFO, and also Scott Hyde, the CRO of KOTA with us. It's a great pleasure and privilege and honor to have all of you with us today. And before going to the presentation, of course, all of you are familiar with the safe harbor statement because of the forward-looking natures of our discussion. Some of the things that we'll be doing in the future, sometimes based on because of different circumstances and events and so forth, may differ from what we wish to accomplish. So we want to keep that in mind. I would just give a very quick overview of PHI because many of you are already familiar with the company. Some of you may be new, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. And the company was founded in 1982, trading on the OTC market, fully reporting with the SEC, trading symbol PHIL. We have 60 million shares of common share authorized, 500 million of preferred, about 28.8 billion shares common stock issued and outstanding, about 600,000 shares of non-convertible preferred stock issued and outstanding. Our corporate strategy, we build and deploy resources with distinctive competitive advantages. We participate and compete in attractive businesses that may have large and growing market potential, and create long-term value by, and also provide points of exit for our investors through capital appreciation, sell, spin-off of business units. Please allow me to, I have to come back, and accept one more co-host with us a little bit a few minutes later, but let me be back with you 1 second, gentlemen. Yeah. And our scope of business, we have the Luxembourg Bank Funds, which is a group of funds that we have designed to invest into real estate, infrastructure, energy, and healthcare, and etc., with different compartments. And we have been working on the Asia Diamond Exchange in Vietnam, we provide advisory and consulting services for corporate clients. And we engage in merger and acquisition as a principle, meaning we do the acquisition ourselves, for our own portfolio. We also provide merger and acquisition services to international clients for a fee as well. And we also engage in special situations, especially recently we have launched the CO21 Carbon Corporation, which is involved in blockchain and crypto technology. Those are some of the services and industry we're involved in. Our subsidiary, we have a number of subsidiaries. The investment fund, Luxembourg Fund, Philux Capital Advisors, Asia Diamond Exchange, PHI Vietnam Investment and Development Company, American Pacific Resources, Vinafilms International, which used to be called Asia, American Pacific Plastic. We've changed the holding company name to Vinafilms International. Vivite Healthcare, Empire Spirit, the holding company for 5 grain treasury spirits, and also CO21 Carbon Corporation. And we have also changed the name, established a holding company, Philux Global Energy, as a holding company for renewable energy transaction, and also as a holding company, a platform for roll-up strategy. Before introducing Koda management, I want to give a quick update on my recent trip to Turkey and back, so that our shareholders may understand where we are. We have received a number of commitments, and we have signed agreement with several funding sources in the Middle East, in Switzerland, and also in the Middle East, including Dubai, Egypt, and Oman. And part of the trip was to process the paperwork and to set up the SPV, special purpose vehicle, for this transaction. We were able to get part of the paperwork done. I got the security clearance myself, and also the tax ID clearance, setting up bank account for that matter. But on the corporate side, we still have some more work to do, and we have engaged a local law firm, a Turkish law firm, to assist in the process, especially with legal, administrative, tax, and banking issues. We are working on those at the moment. Of course, the proof of funds have been verified. However, there's still more work to be done before the closing can be accomplished. So we will keep you updated on that. And of course, some of you want to have immediate answer. Unfortunately, we cannot disclose or announce any public information on an individual basis if it's not final yet. So please bear with us. Some of the transaction may or may not work out due to certain requirements, because it has to be in full compliance with not only the U.S. Treasury Department, but also international legal system as well. So please bear with us on that, and we will keep you updated when it's ready. And unfortunately, I cannot answer individual questions. Some of you try to find out where we are on that. I just cannot tell one individual without telling the other. So that's why, please, if you ask a question, sometimes I don't answer them directly, for obvious reasons. So please understand. But we will keep you updated, as soon as the final results are ready to announce. And now it's a great pleasure for me, to welcome Koda management team, the core team with us. And I would like to turn over to Koda management so that you can introduce in more detail, each of you to our audience, and also please feel free to share as much as possible you can on the transaction we have. I mean, on the success story of Koda. What are your competitive advantages? What sets Koda apart? But the Koda PHI relationship is a very unique one, a very important one for us at this juncture. And I will spend some time to talk more about the details of the deal and how we are going to go forward and accomplish this. With that being said, my heartiest, warmest welcome to all of you, Cole, Kevin, Michael, and Scott, for being here with us this afternoon with our shareholders and investors as well, and some of even fund managers also present with us in this conference call. Well, thank you very much. When I went to turn the forum on to you, so please feel free to take on from here. Yeah, and then I will come in at the right moment. Yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. Henry, thanks for the intro. Appreciate you guys all having us. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. My name's Cole Arman. I'm CEO of Koda Energy Group and Koda Construction. I'd like to introduce my counterparts on here as well. We have Kevin Radabaugh on the call. He serves as our president, Michael Cozy, our CFO, and Scott Hyde, our CRO. They're going to take a little bit of time here further on in the presentation to talk to you about future growth, development, our core values, and how a lot of these things have come to be. So I think we'll just go ahead and dive right in here and just talk about the two entities in themselves, as two separate ones, being Koda Energy Group and Koda Construction. A little background and context and how Koda Energy Group is actually formed. Myself and Kevin Radabaugh, we owned a smaller company, which was just a sales engine, origination engine for solar, residential solar and commercial installs back in 2016 to early 2017. Throughout that, we met Scott and Michael Cozy along the way, and they also owned another smaller solar company, which we then formed, had our first, merger and acquisition happen. And thus we formed a Koda Energy Group on the guiding principles and core values of become and create give. Koda Energy Group at that time, late 2017, was just a sales origination engine for solar companies. So our whole model was that we were going to have a direct sales side with Koda Energy Group, and we were going to aggregate volume and take other sales dealers or sales engines and help give volume to certain EPCs or solar installation engines across the state of California. And by doing so, it helped us aggregate volume. We were able to drive down costs for Koda Energy Group. And we had two models at that time. It was Koda guys out selling the brand of Koda itself. And then we had also dealers that were other entities, and we'll get to further on in the presentation, Sunup Solar, Creative Energy Solutions, what have you, that were also sending deals through us that we were helping with the project management side of things and helping them get jobs installed and the growth of their companies as well. We did that till about the end of 2019, when it came time to really control the process. We're here to deliver the best customer experience on the planet, and we feel like the only way we were able to actually do that is by controlling the process from start to finish. So when a solar system is sold here in the United States, it has a finance engine mechanism tied to it. And then of course you have to be the equipment procurement company, which Koda Construction is. And those are the guys actually performing the install. So when we look at the flow of money, Koda Construction is the actual construction company where the labor, boots on the ground, managing the project from start to finish, doing the site survey, getting permission to operate from the utilities, what have you. The finance company would pay Koda Construction, and then Koda Energy Group is thus paid as a sales engine or dealer. So later on, if we were to look at our P&L, you'd see that we have Koda Energy Group as the sales engine, and then there's a multitude of other sales engines that we serve as the install company for. With that being said, that's kind of the overview and flow of money. And just to reiterate, 2 separate engines, just to keep them separate. Koda Construction is all the labor side of things, the operational entity, and thus Koda Energy Group is the sales engine. Can we go to the next slide here, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Scott Hyde. I'm going to turn it over to Scott Hyde, one of the most amazing human beings I've ever encountered. Scott, I'll let you take it from here, sir.
Thanks, Cole. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Scott.
We're super excited to be here. Just, I guess, a little bit about who we are as a company and how we've grown in success and what we attribute to. As Cole mentioned, we were really just a handful of small sales engines that were trying to kind of carve out our name for ourselves in the solar industry. We think we all believed that solar was a fantastic industry for us to be involved in, and one that had a tremendous upside and runway ahead. And this is back in 2014, we really started and as sales engines. And when we came together, we wanted to do something that was different and set ourselves apart from what felt like quite a few competitors in the market. And so we focused mostly on the things that we cared the most about, which was how do we create the best experience for both our employee and reps and for the customers. And we based it on a few founding principles of become a better person, create a better experience, and give a better, or create a better environment and give a better experience. And as we started to work on really kind of separating ourselves from the rest of the engines in the market, we found that the vast majority of sales engines were really just a lot of mercenaries, and they were looking for maybe the biggest paycheck or the biggest signing bonus or whatever it might have been that kind of lined their pockets the most. And as we started to realize that if we wanted to create something that had sustainability to it, we wanted to create it in a foundation and principles that actually change people's lives more so than it was just about money. And so everything we did, from all the decisions we made about how we were going to move the company forward and grow, were all based on, number one, what would I want to do if this was my grandma's house, from an equipment standpoint and things like that. And then what would I want to do if I was the rep myself, and how would I want to be treated? And so all of our core principles and values that we based our decisions on were focused on achieving that end. To that point, as we started to tell our story and create a vision about where we wanted to go and what kind of company we wanted to become, we realized that we wanted to have really strategic partnerships with those individuals in the industry that we didn't have expertise in. So in the procurement side of the business, as well as in the financing arm of the business, we developed very, very strategic partnerships with some of the largest and the largest in the nation in terms of those particular pillars. So CED Green Tech and Good Leap, who was formerly known as Lone Pal, which in and of themselves represent the 2 largest partners in the space from a distribution standpoint and a finance standpoint, really created deep relationships with them and made sure that as we grew, we were in lockstep with their principles as well as they were in lockstep with ours. And that gave us tremendous advantage going forward. So to that end, to give you maybe a handful of nuggets that would help illustrate those points, we have very, very favorable terms with Good Leap from a financing standpoint that most companies our size would not be afforded, simply because Good Leap believed in those core values and principles that we also believed in. With CED Green Tech, they agreed to go into partnership with us and things that were very, very unique, such as VMI, or vendor managed inventory, that allowed us to our days on receivable and our days on payables, and made it so that we could have really just-in-time inventory. And it was tremendous for us to have that, to accelerate our growth without stymieing our cash flow. We wouldn't have been able to do those things without those partnerships, and those partnerships came about simply because of the principles that we built our company on. We attracted a rep base, or a sales rep clientele type that also wanted those same kind of principles too. And as we focus more and more on that culture piece rather than just the profit margins, we found a tremendous foothold in the market that other people just didn't have, and we started to carve out a place that was different, and it's led to our success. And as we've met with the PHI group and with Henry and his partnership groups, they have lined up incredibly well with us. And as we like to say, when good things happen to Koda, we say God smiles on Koda. And when we met with the PHI group, I can say with confidence that's how it felt. It felt like God smiled on Koda again. And so when we look forward to the future and look at where we've come from, those same core values that we've based our company on will continue to be the things that shape our decisions in the future. And as we do it, we're very confident that we'll continue to have Providence smiling on us. Go to the next one there, Henry, and I think that's to Kevin.
Well, I'll echo my partners here. Very grateful for the opportunity to talk with you guys today and impart a little bit of our story, where we come from, and why we feel honestly that we're so special and blessed to have this relationship with Henry and the PHI group. Some of what I'll talk about now in terms of what sets Koda apart is probably going to sound a little bit redundant from stuff that my partner Scott and Cole have already spoken about. But as we talk about what sets Koda apart, I think it's extremely important for everybody on this call to understand that we are more than a sales and an installation engine in the solar space. There are plenty of solar companies out there right now that install just as fast as we do, that may have quality as high as we have, and that have more volume than we have from a sales perspective. We're arrogant sometimes about certain things, but we're not prideful to the point where we can say that we're the very best in all those areas. Where we can say that we stand apart from every other company is in these core values that we embody. And we believe wholeheartedly that that's what's going to drive us to become the largest force in the solar industry to be reckoned with, especially in combination with the PHI group here. So, and what I mean by that is, again, Scott already mentioned this, Cole touched on it briefly as well, but when we came together and formed Koda, what we decided that we wanted to change and become is we wanted to create the best customer experience and the best employee experience on the planet. And although that sounds like a hefty goal to have, we believe very, very much we could accomplish that. We had all come from different sectors of the industry, whether it be finance, installation, or sales, where we felt that there was one that was doing well in one of those aspects, but none that did well in both. And so what we decided, and again, Scott touched on this, is that every time we made a decision for the company, whether it be a change in direction, whether it be a new hire, whether it be building a tech platform or whatever it might have been, we asked ourselves, is this going to provide a better customer experience? And is it going to provide a better employee experience? And if the answer was yes, we did it. If the answer was no, or even just yes to one of those, we went back to the drawing board and we started over. It's extremely important for us that become our driving mantra. And what that's enabled us to do is it's enabled us to attract the right people to come to Koda. We have within Koda a human behavior and organizational coach that's on our staff. And something that he's mentioned to us time and time again is that businesses are nothing more than a compilation of people. And so every time we attract a new person to come and work with us, we make sure that their core values are aligned with ours. Again, Scott touched on these already, but our core values are to become a better person, to create a better environment, and to give a better experience. I'm going to touch a little bit more in detail on what these things mean and how it actually trickles down to the actions of our company and the programs and the systems we have in place that kind of fall back on these core values. So in terms of becoming a better person, we know that in all we do, we have to become better people first. And this is something that we drive into every single one of our employees. It's something we talk to our customers about. And what we mean by this is that we don't want our people, our family here at Koda to just become better at their jobs. Although we know that's important to drive the bottom line and make sure that we're profitable and that our revenue is high. We want everybody to go home and to become better people in their home as well. We want them to become better in their families, better at their, if they're students, whatever it is that they're doing, better in their hobbies. We want them to become better people. And so there's a lot that we do to kind of coach them and to give them principles and guidance on how they can actually affect this change in their own personal lives. Part of that is this human behavior and organizational coach that I mentioned. He meets with our sales and operations teams weekly. And he doesn't just coach them up on skills, that they can apply to their jobs, but he talks to them about gratitude practices. He talks to them about relationship betterment, mental health and wellness, all sorts of things that can help them become better people. So that core value to us is extremely important because we know as you become a better person, it leads you into our next core values, which are create a better environment and to give a better experience. You can't do those two without doing the first one. So in terms of creating a better environment, something that we focus very high level on at Koda is we create a very transparent and honest environment in our communication. All of us as founders have never hidden information from anybody in the company. If anybody asks us, how much revenue do we make? What is our profit? How does it work? Where do we tweak this and where do we pull back on that? We're willing to pull back the curtain and show them how the business works. Because we believe that as we're transparent and honest with them, they do the same for us. Another part of this is holding ourselves and each other accountable, not only as an ownership group, but from the top down. We want to encourage all of our people to acknowledge their failures so that we can all help each other grow and become better. So that's part of creating that better environment. Another piece of this is we promote healthy competition. We know that that ignites us all to be better. There are a number of different programs that we do throughout the year and on a monthly basis that push our sales engines and that push our operations engines to be better yesterday than they were, the day before, better today than they were yesterday. Part of that is we have programs in sales and operations. We call it Contenders program. It's kind of a boxing theme that a lot of people really get behind and have excitement with, which essentially what it is that every single month, everybody resets at zero, whether you're in sales or you're in operations, and you get a chance to earn different levels of achievement. This is something that we feel very passionate about because it drives our people to be better, right? It drives them to really push for more production, push for more volume, and to do it at a high level of quality and a high level of safety as well. So there are all sorts of different programs that we do to really push to become a better, to create that better environment. The other side of it is, the last one is giving a better experience. We know that everybody, in the human experience, we just want our experience to be better, right? So we do a lot to give back, not only to our employees and our customers, but give back to our communities and to our fellow humans as well. We've partnered up with several charitable programs. Just last year alone, we partnered up with 3 or 4, Operation Underground Railroad being one of them, as well as Give Power and several others that have enabled our people to essentially take portions of their paychecks and donate to these causes that we feel are very near and dear to our heart. So it enables all of our people to not only give to whatever charities they want to, but for us to be able to sponsor those things as well and allow them to give back and feel like they're doing something better for their communities. So on top of our core values, we know that, what that's led us to be able to do is to create the best sales processes and tech platforms in the industry. We've created another company called Sonobi, which is a sales enablement platform that allows a sales rep to be able to do everything from start to finish, managing their projects, designing the system, selling it, all within one single place. It's never been done in the industry. And as soon as Koda started using this platform, our volume increased substantially. So we're very focused on new ways of building tech and sales systems to enable our salespeople to increase in volume dramatically. Same thing on the operations side. Currently, we use a CRM called QuickBase that's very customizable. We feel that we've built the very best portion of that or version of that in the industry as well, that enables our operations personnel to track projects and manage those from start to finish without letting things fall through the crack and keep ourselves on really, really good, tight SLAs and timelines. On the operations side as well, our quality and inspection. We have a very high focus on quality and safety. We have an 86+ point quality and safety inspection on every single one of our installations, which we rarely ever get complaints from a customer on quality and safety of the jobs that we've installed. We're very, very focused on making sure that they have the best experience in that regard. And when they look up at their roof, everything's clean, flush, safe, and everything looks better than they thought it would, right? So very, very focused on that. And lastly, top tier equipment is our standard. We've, as Scott mentioned before, Scott is the one that's in charge of building all of our partnerships with our key players in the industry. And he's done an excellent job at making sure that we're able to access top tier equipment at standard tier rates. And that allows us to be able to give the customer the very best experience possible without having to increase price and raise it to the point where it's out of reach for them. So very, very focused on making sure that we have differentiators in the space. These are just a few of them that set Koda apart and things that we all feel very, very passionate about.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm with Cole, Scott, and Kevin, and Mike for sharing your great success story of Koda and what set Koda apart. And it's a true delight for us to collaborate, to cooperate, and work with you. And we look forward to building this into something even much, much bigger down the road here. And at this juncture, I want to summarize our KOTA PHI transaction for those of you who are not familiar. We have signed a definitive agreement to acquire 50.1% of both KOTA Construction Company and also KOTA Energy Group for a total purchase price of $64,125,000 to be paid in cash. And we believe this transaction will provide a number of very crucial, very unique strategic fit for us here, because PHI, as a company, we have launched Felix global funds with a number of sub-funds, one of them being the Felix Global Renewable Energy Fund. And part of that, we will support other clean energy, renewable energy players in the industry, especially in Southeast Asia. We also support our own renewable energy initiative as well. So this is a great fit for the fund and for what KOTA is doing. And number two, we have launched CO21 carbon emission mitigation program, which is ongoing right now. And that is also a great fit between KOTA and Carbon Corporation. At the present, all the project owners, homeowners of KOTA, those homeowners or project owners, they own a portion of the renewable energy, clean energy, climate fighting mechanism, but they are not really paying attention to it. But when we can incorporate that with CO21, Carbon Corp, we were able to monetize or to capitalize on the credits, the carbon credits from those installation from those customers as well. So it will be a win-win for everybody, for the homeowners, for the project owners, because they will earn the carbon credit. They can make money to their own system, which is now being wasted away. And then, of course, from KOTA side, where we also to share in that revenue profit stream. And then for CO21 or Carbon Corp, we have another project owner that is part of the the big picture program. So it's a beautiful combination that will be beneficial to everybody involved in the program. And by the way, I want to touch base a little bit on the status of a CO21 blockchain token. Right now we are in the pre-sale stage. It's been listed on Pancake Swap right now, but we have also applied for Binance and KuCoin, and will be very soon will be fully traded on an exchange. So at this juncture, of course, not all of you are qualified or suitable, but those you who can take advantage of the pre-sale state to get involved, we believe this is a good time to enter. But of course, only for those of you who are qualified and suitable. It's not for all of you. And now we talked about the deal. How do we finance the KOTA PHI transaction, which amounts to around $64 million? We have already had a number of funding commitments on the loan financing side, which we are working, not one, but several of them. So we intend to use the bulk of it from the long-term debt financing with very low interest rate. But at the same time, to be on the safe side, and of course, those who want to lend money to us in the long run, a long-term financing program, also want to see our equity stake in the deal as well. And for that matter, we have decided to file a Reg A plus registration to raise capital through our equity as well. And we'll be announcing that as early as this week, so that not only our shareholders, but the investment community will be aware. And we have to be able to be very flexible and also agile in handling this situation to make sure that we can complete the transaction, because it will add a lot of value to the company, the enterprise, and for everybody involved. The opportunity for KOTA to be able to grow by leaps and bounds, and we listen on how KOTA will be able to implement on the imminent growth plan in a little bit after this slide. And we believe there's a lot to be with yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. Yeah, but there's a lot to be expected from the KOTA and PHI relationship. Yeah, with our becoming the partners in this growth plan, so we be able to work with KOTA hand in hand to support KOTA growth plan immediately with what I believe. Yeah, there will be in the next slide. We'll be sharing that part. What the immediate growth plan is, and actually this has been carefully laid out, very detailed, completely feasible. It's doable, and it's been done right now. It's not something that would be done. We'll be doing the next month or the following month, but it's happening as we speak. And then we'll be able to bring in a number of new, very innovative products and services that will enhance and intensify, escalate the revenue stream, and also the profitability for KOTA, and also for KOTA homeowners, project owners, customer as well. It's all around win-win situation for KOTA, for their customers, and for us, the sponsor as well. So it's something we'll be announcing very shortly in the very near future here. And then with our network, especially on a global basis in emerging markets in particular, we'll be able to to expand and use the best practices of Koda to enter new marketplaces, with the system Shinobi, for example, that's been developed by Koda. That's something is very, very unique. Nobody has it out there. And especially in new growing markets, we can also use this system not only to advance the solar installation, but also can introduce other products and services that are very useful, very beneficial for consumers as well. And we do have those products and services in place ready to be implemented. And there are a number of things we are doing right now that will help PHI Group to be able to upgrade to a senior market very quickly. Koda is more than qualified to be one of those components, but at the same time, we just announced the Vinafilms International operation. Some of you just look at it on the surface. You don't know what kind of value that can be generated from the disposable bags program that we provide to the food and industry, food and beverage industry. That's also a huge initiative that will propel the not only the sales, revenue, and profit, to be also the valuation of the company. And then we have the 5-grain acquisition. We have gonna taken very bold, very active and fast-tracked step to enter and make deals and agreement with growers in Southeast Asia, so that we be able to provide the raw material, the sorghum, with our own technology, our own seed to provide to not only 5-grain, but other users of the product as well. So those 3 prongs, will create tremendous value for the company going forward. And if we look at what it is right now, we some of you may not see everything yet, but it's not one thing by itself. It's all interconnected that will be able to create value for the company. And when we go on to the next slide, you have had a chance to listen to the elaboration on the imminent growth plan of Koda. What kind of value that it can bring to all the stakeholders and shareholders of both companies, of Koda, a group of companies, and our shareholders as well. And we can use this as a platform for roll-up strategies to also acquire other businesses in the same industry. It's not necessarily just solar construction or solar energy alone, but other renewable energy businesses that can be bundled, can be rolled up to create accretive value for companies and shareholders. So we believe there's a lot to be expected, and with great expectation, we believe it will be a great winner for us, not for both, not only PHI ourselves, but also for Koda, and also for shareholders of both companies and other people that will be involved with us. And with that being said, I want to invite the Koda management team to come back and share with us on the imminent growth plan, because in the press release, we mentioned that with the adequate financial resources, Koda can be on a path to generate up to $1 billion in revenue within the next 12 months. And some of you who have not heard management of Koda mentioned, maybe pipe dream. No, it is something that is solid, well thought out, carefully laid out, ready to be implemented. And it is being implemented as we speak. So we'd like to invite Koda management team to come back and share with us what it means to embark on the imminent and exciting growth plan ahead for Koda. Please. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Henry. So Michael Cozy here. And yeah, I just want to go ahead and lay out, the current market that we're in and the plans that we have for imminent growth. And as Henry mentioned, there's secondary growth that can happen, internationally and on a whole bunch of different fronts. But what I'll lay out for you here right now is where we're at and how we're going to get to that on that path to $1 billion. So next slide there, Henry, if you want to show that. We are, the intention here is to grow Koda across the entire US market. So that's the imminent plan. And just to give you a bit of a picture, I know that, how do you grow so aggressively? What is the market cap there? What is the potential for that type of expansion? If you'll see here in this, some of the data that I put up, and it's taken from the seia.org. The source is actually at the bottom of the slide there. Solar has, increased in terms of electrical generation from just 0.1% in 2010 to nearly 4% today. And this is actually that was a 2020 stat. So in 10 years, from 0.1% to 4%. And so as of that date of that data, that's more than 100 gigawatts that have been installed just in the United States. And the projection is that over the next 10 years, 348 gigawatts will be installed, which is almost 3.5 times that amount. One other thing to note, a side bit of data that's not in here, is that new home sales are actually at greater than 4%. So even at that 4% penetration that we have today, we cannot even keep up with new home growth. So the market cap is actually expanding even at the rate that solar is growing. So it's pretty fantastic, the opportunity that lies ahead. The next slide there, Henry. So the rate of growth for solar in the United States has been 42%, and it currently powers 18.9 million homes. And then if you look at electric capacity that's been added to our grid, solar has ranked either first or second in over the last 8 years, with 43% of all new electric capacity to the grid coming from solar. So that's pretty fantastic. That's very substantial. And when you look, in the previous slide of, if over almost half of our electrical grid is only getting us 4% coverage, the runway there for market share is just phenomenal. And that's one of the things that gets us so excited here. The opportunity for growth and what we have before us. So this slide here, nearly 250,000 Americans work in solar as of 2020, and there are more than 10,000 companies that exist in the solar industry, from sales engines to material suppliers to installation companies, finance companies, and all the affiliated entities that make this up. That's quite a bit of companies. But in 2020, $25 billion of private investment was generated just in the solar industry. So when we talk about a path to $1 billion, we're really only looking at 1/25 of what has already been produced by this industry. So great opportunity there. This next slide, then we'll get more into the specifics of us, and just this will give you an example of the runway that we have. In 2020-21, we did $50 million in contracts, just a little bit more than that. The thing to consider is this was done in only California. Koda has only operated probably 96% in California. We have a few outlying deals and projects outside of the state, but the majority of our business is right here in California and in 3 different markets, the northern, central, and southern part of the state. So with that, just if we were to do nothing else but increase in the 3 California markets, the headroom there is to actually double the capacity of what we're doing just in those 3 markets without even adding anything externally. And that is already, as Henry mentioned, has already began. We've already taken on new sales teams. We've already implemented new installation crews, bought new fleets, new warehouses. The expansion is actually happening already. And so that's super exciting. We are looking then at beyond California at 5 primary target markets. So we have 1 in Nevada, we have 2 in Texas, and we have 2 in Florida. And just by growing into those markets alone, we should be able to, the projection is 7 to 10x our current contract revenue, which has us well on that way to, that $1 billion. Secondary markets, there's a whole bunch out there, and as we make good headway in these 5 primary, we will be looking at secondary markets to get into. Consider that with what I just mentioned, we're really only talking about 4 different states: California, Nevada, Texas, and Florida as our primaries. There's opportunity across the nation in every state for us to get into very aggressively, and we intend to do so. So the other point that I'd like to make with regards to our revenue, and especially our margin, is that California is not traditionally, it is the hardest market to be profitable in. It is very expensive here, from labor costs, material costs, gasoline for the fleets. The regulations are through the roof, taxes, all of that. It is hard to be a profitable solar company in California. I would dare say it's hard to be a profitable construction company in California. We have been able to carve out profit, good margins, and cash flow here in California. So it just excites us even more when we look forward to the markets that we're going to be getting into and partnering with PHI Group and growing this business. So good stuff coming in the near future, good stuff certainly long term. But I think the exciting part is that you'll see increase pretty much instantly, as we are already in process of doing many of these things that we're projecting and discussing. Back to you, Henry.
All right. Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing this very, very important information to our listeners, so that we all can have a good grasp of what makes it tick, how can we get it done, and we already started working on this. It's not waiting for it to be done. No, it's being done right now. So I want to share with the next step that we've been taking. We will proceed with the financial audits of KOTA. We already discussed with our auditor to start working on that. And then, of course, most importantly is completing the acquisition financing for KOTA. And as I mentioned earlier, we are working with a number of lenders, a number of sources, just not one of them, to make sure that we will be able to complete this program for both KOTA and ourselves. And of course, we will finalize. We'll choose the most optimum solution for our transaction. And in the interim, in the short term, KOTA and us, we have also begun discussing with certain groups to provide the bridge financing for KOTA new growth plan immediately. And of course, we today, actually, Mike and myself were on the phone with a group in New York, but then we also have other candidates we will work with and decide which will be the most suitable, most optimum for the short-term bridge financing, so that KOTA can continue with what they already started out with the new growth plan. And so far, it's working out very well, and I'm very excited, very proud to see the kind of action, the quick move that KOTA team has taken to advance the the Go program, and I have very strong faith that it will be a big success for the company, for all of us. So I want this as an opportunity to thank all of you who have taken your time to join us today, to listen to KOTA management presentation, and also have some updates on the PHI side. We will have a different call separately to discuss our other needs and our other developments, so that our shareholders will be brought fully up to date. And again, thank you, all of you who have joined us, and also thank you, all of you from KOTA management team for your time and for your efforts, your contribution. We look forward to working closely with you to make it a big success for all of us. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon, and God bless you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we will, if for further information, you can contact PHI Group or KOTA. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye, and God bless you all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Goodbye. Yeah.